thanks to President Obama, bin Laden is dead and General Motors alive. You have to ask yourself, had Governor Romney been president, could he have used the same slogan in reverse?
This is unseemly of the president to be going around talking about.
Well, and I think it's also...
Or a vice president to go around talking about it. The killing of bin Laden. That's what Joe Scarborough was referring to. It's unseemly. Or is it? Or is this something that, look, he helped accomplish? He made the right call initially, and it was successful. So people think that Democrats are weak on national security. They're kind of soft. They're pansies on national security. So look, Obama's used the drones. He's ramped up the killing of a lot of these top al-Qaeda people. And after 10 years of not getting bin Laden, he ended up in the Situation Room when bin Laden was killed. Why not reference it? Well, I'm going to ask Congressman Peter King, one of our favorites, Republican, New York, chairman of the House Committee on Homeland Security, and another feather in his cap, he was not at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Hey, Congressman.
Hey, Laura, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing fine. Actually, just talking about the dinner, I used to go to that thing, and it's really become, I don't know, sort of a joke to me, almost a satire on itself, and all these Hollywood people have no real knowledge of what's going on in politics and government showing off, and there's like less and less political people, and also the way the journalists take themselves so seriously, sitting up there in the dais. God, it reminds me like of those old guys in Moscow used to stand and look down when the troops march by.
Well, Congressman, the low point, we're going to get to the bin Laden thing in a second, but the low point is when Jimmy Kimmel's up there using the A word, saying eat it, and using the most disgusting language, using slut. And the president and the first lady are there. And look, people can have fun, blow off steam. That's fine. But the president's making the joke about the Secret Service and the curfew, and to me, they ridicule Bush when Bush made the joke about, well, Barney found the weapons of mass destruction, but when Obama does it, it's just fine.
Yeah, there is a certain level. It's great for the president to be a regular guy, whatever that is, but there's also a certain dignity to the office, and I think they've lost that in the last few years. And again, when you talk about the Secret Service, also these comedians, as if they're trying to bring people down to their level. Okay, all that stuff is great at a stag show or a bachelor party or something. But I just think to have the President of the United States sit there and have the whole world watching, I think it demeans the office. I really do.
Yeah, it diminishes the office, and this is why we love Peter King. Look, I've been to these dinners in the past, and I finally said enough. You just feel... I don't know. You just feel stupid. I mean, and again, it seems it's become too much of a circus, and I don't even want to waste time talking about it. We have other issues to talk about. So let's get on to this Osama bin Laden anniversary that they're celebrating this week with an NBC special, Congressman King, on Wednesday, filmed in the Situation Room, which followed the vice president's comments that who knows whether Mitt Romney could have made that call. The implication being that Mitt Romney would not have made that call. Your reaction?
Yeah, this is wrong. And I, from the start, said President Obama, as president, and he had a tough decision to make, and he made it. He should get full credit for that. But as Commander-in-Chief, again, we're talking about the dignity of the office, and we're talking about abusing the prerogatives of the office. Listen, he's entitled to mention in the campaign to me in a quick way. If they want to say, as the President of the United States, President Obama decimated the al-Qaeda leadership, including bin Laden. That's fine. Make it one sentence. People know what it means. To be dwelling on it and to be somehow saying that Obama did it and Romney wouldn't is wrong. I remember in 2004 there was a big controversy. President Bush had a 30-second ad that was basically showing where we came from. From the 9/11. There was, I think, maybe 1 second, a fleeting shot of a coffin being taken from Ground Zero. I mean, literally a second. That was it. And the media went crazy about how he was abusing 9/11 and how he was using it for political advantage. And that was, to me, I thought that was perfectly appropriate to do it that way. But to be talking about how he was the guy who got bin Laden and making it to dramatic music and all that, it's wrong. It really is. Also, if we want to get into that debate, first of all, it was the Navy SEALs who carried it out, and the information they got resulted from waterboarding that was carried out in the Bush administration.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. Yes, correct. Correct.
I mean, they say
analysis.
If Romney had been president, would he have carried out the raid? I would say if Obama had been president between 2001 and 2008, would we have gotten the intelligence that we needed to carry out that raid? And we wouldn't have.
Oh, well, because he was against the waterboarding.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
We're talking to Peter King, congressman from New York, here on the Laura Ingraham Show. And Congressman King, the administration is also using celebrities to advance their agenda beyond the war on women to the war on Hispanics that they believe the Republican Party is carrying out. Eric Holder in the Justice Department attacking Arizona. The case goes to the Supreme Court. Looks like they're going to get slammed by the Supreme Court. But this is clearly the politics of division and distraction. And on the immigration front, the message to the voting public is Republicans don't care about Latino voters.
Yeah, and again, we have to fight that without giving up on our principles. Because overall, the American people support the Arizona law. I've seen polls as high as 3-1 supporting the law in Arizona. What the administration is trying to do is trying to target and somehow create a panic among Hispanic voters. I just think we have to do all we can to resist that. Make it clear that our values are the values of Hispanics and all hardworking immigrants and first-generation families. But we can't fall into this trap of if they attack us on women, attack us on Hispanics, attack us on students, that we're going to somehow acknowledge that they might be right and try and change our policies. I think we should be very aggressive in going after the Hispanic vote, but don't do it in a way that's pandering the way the Obama administration is.
And moving forward, should the Republicans respond by moving into some of these areas that they've traditionally avoided? And I'm talking traditionally black areas or inner city areas, Hispanic neighborhoods, to take the message of empowerment and economic freedom to some of those groups who hear the constant drumbeat of demonization from the left. I say Romney should take the good word into those areas. Don't limit yourself to just talking to evangelicals and Catholics and the working class people in Ohio and Florida. Show a little boldness and go into some of these other territories that the Democrats have almost by default.
I agree with you completely. In fact, my new congressional district has gone from 2% minority to 32%, and I certainly intend to campaign in the African American and Hispanic areas. We have no reason not to, and just to write those voters off, to me, is making a big mistake. And certainly, someone like Mitt Romney has. I mean, he can show. I mean, he has created jobs. He can turn the economy around. That has to be the issue. That we are going to create policies that are going to allow independent-minded people, entrepreneurs, ambitious people who want to take care of their kids and live in good neighborhoods, to move ahead. We're not going to just keep everyone on a permanent, in a permanent welfare state, or say that the government is the answer to everything. And I think in doing that, we have to show, though, that we're comfortable dealing with people that are outside what's considered to be the Republican base. It shouldn't give the impression of going into an African American neighborhood as if this is some sort of novelty, or this is a foreign country we're visiting. And also, I think we should reach out to some of the hard hat unions, the ones who made up a lot of the silent majority, going back as far back as the Nixon days. These are people we should be comfortable with, because we believe that our policies are the ones that will enable them to live good lives, for themselves and their families.
Well, I think that one thing that we learned from Ronald Reagan is he was never afraid of a debate, he never shied away from taking on the stereotypes of the left and turning them on their heads. And I think more Republicans need to take that attitude that it's all up for grabs. California, New York. The idea that we're going to write off two of the most important states electorally, election after election, is ridiculous. I mean, I know there's huge challenges for any Republican in the state of New York, Congressman. But if Republicans start with the presumption that they're going to lose New York and California every election, well, year after year, it's going to get harder to take the presidency, not easier.
I'd say in New York, I can think of 3 or 4 Democratic congressional seats that we can win in this year's election. Actually, we should, if we don't go into it with a defeatist mentality. And when you look around the state and you see areas of the solid Republican areas, the solid conservative areas, but also the others of blue-collar independent voters who are very patriotic, who support the military, who are fed up with taxes, who just want to provide a decent living for themselves and their families, who want to live in safe communities. To me, that's the Republican message, and we should not be writing them off and not just appealing to our safe base. It's one mistake that Democrats have made over the years. They love to speak in echo chambers where they sit around and everyone agrees the same thing and they can watch MSNBC and they all, think the world is with them. I think as Republicans, we should not, as you said, not be afraid to go out. I mean, you see Ronald Reagan, he used to campaign in working class bars. He would, not be afraid of reaching out. I would say that even if we don't get in the first time around a large percentage of the African American vote, we can certainly cut into that and we can start building bridges and without doing it in a pandering way, just standing up for what we believe in. Certainly,
you garner respect. You garner respect, and it
right.
starts from maybe a lower level, but it builds over time. Congressman Peter King's exactly right on that. Congressman, I know your committee is doing the hard work and investigating the Secret Service scandal. Do you think this is going to go beyond the limits of what we know right now about what happened in Colombia? And do you still have confidence in Mark Sullivan, the director of the Secret Service?
I've actually known Mark Sullivan quite a while since he was appointed by President Bush. I've been working with him. Yeah, I do have a lot of respect for him. Based on what we know so far, I think he's done all the right things as far as the investigation. I think and my investigation won't be finished for at least another month or so, for my committee. But having said that, I think we know all the bad things we have to know about Colombia. I don't expect anything to come out about a national security breach. I don't think it's going to go beyond those 12 as far as the Secret Service is concerned. As far as El Salvador, we are looking at that, and that'll probably be a while before we can resolve it. I don't think this is systemic, though, and I've spoken to people in this administration, the prior administration before that, and they were really shocked by what happened in Colombia, and I'm not even judging it from a morality point of view. What they did from a national security point of view, as it turned out, I don't think there's any evidence that there was a national security breach, but there could have been. We ducked the bullet to allow the book that enemies use, including women, to get inside.
Well, but you don't have any information indicating that any of these women could have been working for foreign governments?
So far, no. We have one advantage in Colombia is that prostitutes have to register at the main desk and leave their name and photo ID. And we're working very closely with the Colombian police. And from what we've been able to find out so far, none of those 12 was involved with the FARC or any other narco-terrorist group. But boy, they really could have been. And that's the danger. That's what I was really holding my breath on for that first 10 days out. That we could have, they could have grabbed a BlackBerry, they could have grabbed a schedule, they could have just gotten any type of inside information, and they could have. This has not been uncovered, been blackmailing and threatening these agents. And I think the Secret Service is great. I have a tremendous relationship with them, but this small group really let down the whole service. What
would you say about President Obama's joking about this incident on Saturday night?
I wouldn't joke about it in any event, for either side. First of all, I think it demeans the presidency to do it, and secondly, from the point of view of the Secret Service, I think if you're trying to rebuild the status of the Secret Service, don't use them as the foils or the props for your jokes.
No, it's I know a lot of former Secret Service agents, and they are good people, no doubt. Congressman, by the way, when you're doing your investigation into these women, whether they might have had any connections, if any of them are named Natasha, that might be a sign that they could be connected to the former Soviet Union. Might be speaking to Boris and Rocky the Squirrel. All right, we're going to take a break. Congressman Peter King, great to talk to you as always.
Laura, great talking to you. Thanks a lot.
All right, you take care. When we come back on the Laura Ingraham Show, a lot more to get to, including superior genes, advice to single men. Stay with us.
The Laura Ingraham Show.